Good evening. My name is Cordia, and this is Insurance Talk Tuesday with CCI Protection. CCI Protection is an independent insurance agency. We are brokered with 20 plus insurance carriers in the state of Texas. So we have access to a lot of different markets. But our mission here is to serve, to educate, and to protect. And as a part of that educating, we will be releasing weekly videos discussing different parts of different insurance policies. So, Insurance 101, right? We're going to do a little bit to fulfill our mission, which is to educate. A lot of times, I'm telling my customers things for the very first time, and they're not that familiar with insurance and how it works, what's covered, what isn't. And so, I want to make that information available. So we'll jump right in. Tonight, we'll be discussing personal auto. The policy essentially breaks down into three parts. There's them, there's you, and there's your car, right? And so tonight we're going to be talking about them. And what is them? What is the them coverage? So these are your liability limits. In the state of Texas, it is mandated that you have 30, 60, 25 limits. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means exactly. What is liability? What does it cover? And what do those limits mean line by line? So first, liability is going to be protection for them. So it's the other party involved in an accident. And so you are liable for either their bodily injury or their property damage. And so that 30, 60, 25 is referring to the bodily injury and property damage. So bodily injury, you hit someone, it's your fault, they're hurt, right? Your insurance carrier would pay 30,000 if there's one person hurt in the accident, up to 60,000 if there are a few people hurt in the accident, and then up to 25,000 to replace their vehicle or any property damage. All right, so let's back up a little bit and go back to the bodily injury portion. So you hit someone, it's your fault. There's one person in the car, they're injured. The max your policy will pay for that person's bodily injury is $30,000. These are the state minimum limits, right? Now, you hit someone, it's your fault. There are four people in the car, right? Even though your one individual person can get up to 30, the max for that accident is going to be 60,000. So now we're looking at the max, essentially it would be like 15,000 a piece. So although if there's one person they can get 30,000, if there are four people in the car, hey, that max is 60,000. Once God forbid we're over that $60,000 mark, now we're looking at your personal pockets. And I just say this because it's a real big part of that protecting. What are we protecting here? We're protecting your assets. We're protecting a lot you in the event of a lawsuit so that it never touches your personal pockets. Your insurance policy should be enough so that it never touches and crosses over into your personal pockets. And so having those limits high enough is important. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we discuss it further, right? So moving right along, we're going to go to the property damage portion, right? So we talked about you hit someone, it's your fault. One person is hurt. You hit someone, it's your fault. A few people in the vehicle are hurt. And then you hit someone, it's your fault, and you damage their property. So that's that $25,000 limit. So the cost of cars today that are on the road easily go over that $25,000 limit. And so it's really important to understand your liability limits and understand what they mean. There are cars easily, base models that are more than 25,000. And so I definitely recommend that we have higher limits, right? So let's say, okay, we're talking liability, things you are liable for. So you have hit someone, it's your fault, and they either A, have experienced bodily injury, or B, they've experienced property damage, or both. It could be both. But in the event that it's bodily injury, let's say you run into the back of someone, you push that person into the back of someone, and you push that person into the back of someone. Each one of those cars easily could have three people. So we're talking about 9 people's bodily injury for whom you're responsible. And if you have a $60,000 limit on that, it will easily leak over into your personal pockets. So we want to have enough coverage, right? We want to make sure that in the event of an accident, it doesn't turn into a lawsuit for your personal funds, right? And then the same goes for the personal property, right? So we're talking about $25,000. If there are 3 vehicles and a base model is over 25,000, we're looking at easily adding up. And now again, it's translating into going into your personal pockets. So liability is the coverage for them. This is why the government mandates that you have them coverage, right? That you have liability insurance at a minimum. Because if you're driving around and you hit someone, they want to be sure that you can at least take care of their bodily injury and at least take care of their property damage that you are responsible for. So this is why liability is required in your state because they want to be sure that, if you are causing some kind of damage to someone, that you are able to make them whole again. And that's what insurance is all about, being able to remedy and make you whole again and put you back in the position you were before the accident or before things happen. And so, a really big thing for me with my clients when things happen, right? Because we know if you've lived long enough, you know things are going to happen. But when they happen, I want you to be able to call me and I tell you you're covered. I've got you. Everything is good to go because we took the time and we had these conversations and we made sure that you weren't exposed. We made sure that God forbid something happens, you're able to continue on normally and not have to take steps back because you didn't have the proper protection in place. Right? So that is my little spiel on them, the them coverage, the liability limits for personal auto. We will continue with you. So next video, we'll talk about you and the coverage that you're afforded within your auto policy. Thank you so much for your time. Please, please, please feel free to leave any questions or comments down below. You can also reach us directly at 800-513-4929 or at info@cciprotection.com.